Hi everyone! So it's Sunday again, so that can only mean one thing. It's time to talk about the book I've been reading this week, and this week it was Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I should say Little Women / Good Wives, because the story of Little Women is actually split over two stories, but this book has brought both parts together, so I have read both parts this week. It's been a bit of a funny week because I don't know if you recall, but my last week's video, my voice was rather funny because I'd woken up absolutely full of cold the day before, and that cold really knocked the heck out of me, so much so I had to have Monday and Tuesday off work. So because of that, and I was really ill, I just didn't have the energy to read, so I've actually had to read this book in 5 days rather than 7 days. And with college and other stuff as well, with work, it's been a really hectic week. So I'm quite chuffed with myself that I've managed to get through Little Women in the course of the past 5 days. So, in case you don't know what Little Women is about, it is set during the American Civil War, and in the 1800s, and it follows the adventures of the March sisters. Now, the March sisters are Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, and that's Meg's the eldest, then it's Jo, then Beth and Amy, and it follows them throughout their lives, basically. What happens to them when it starts. Meg is she's 17 and Amy is 12, and then it follows on for I think it's the next 10 years or so. It follows the lives of each of them. All the girls are very different. Meg, she is the eldest. When the Marches used to be rich, but now they're quite poor, and they live with their mother. Their father has enlisted. Not as a soldier in the army, but he's a priest, a vicar. So he is basically there to give his services to soldiers. So he's away at war at the moment, and they have pretty much nothing. So it's all about necessity, as Jo says, necessity being the mother of invention, and what they have to do to get through each day. So Meg, being the eldest, she remembers when they were rich, and she very much she doesn't like having to repair clothes and stuff and be a governess. She wants to feel pretty and admired for once. She doesn't get to spend time going out to balls and such and wearing expensive clothes. She always longs for that kind of being pretty and such. Then you have Jo, who was a tomboy. Well, she still is a tomboy. She loves reading. She wants to be a writer. She's constantly scribbling down things. She's writing plays and such, and she brings a real joy to the group. They act out her stories basically all the time. And it's kind of, you could say, a distraction from the realities of what's been going on, that she's able to give this to her family. But she's, her world is just around her family. She absolutely loves them, but she longs to do something. She wants to write. She wants to go off and explore, to travel and learn things about herself in order to become a great writer and write lots and lots of books. Then you have Beth. Now Beth, she's a really lovely girl. She is extremely shy. She doesn't like to be the centre of attention at all. She doesn't like to speak to people outside the family. So their house, her family are her world. She loves animals, especially cats. She's got a lovely kitten called, I think it's Diana, in the beginning of the book, and she adores playing music. She's brilliant at playing the piano, but the family piano is not that great. It's old and really could do with retuning and repair and such, but they can't afford it. But yeah, once she has some music to play, she's just in her element. She loves it. And then finally you've got Amy. Amy is, being the youngest, she's only ever known this world of being poor and everything, and she's quite an interesting girl. She likes to get her pronunciation of her words correct. She wants be elegant and beautiful, and want to have marry someone rich and who will adore her and everything. But it's really funny in her trying to say things correctly, and she ends up saying a lot of things incorrectly, choosing the wrong words and such. she's very, obviously being only 12, she's still very childlike. When she, like, for example, there's a point where she gets really angry with Joe for not getting a ticket for her to go to the theatre, and because of that she burns Joe's works that she's, her writing, because that's the only way she feels she can lash out to get back at Joe. So she longs for she longs for money, does Amy, but she also longs for happiness and to be the centre of attention of a group and such. And going forward, she loves art as well and wants to become an artist. So those four girls, they're very different, but they all universally, they love their mother very much. They love Hannah, who's the servant in their house, who hasn't been paid for over a year, yet she still comes and works every day for the marches. She's a really loyal friend, is Hannah. And across the road, there's the Lawrences. Mr. Lawrence, the main guy in the house, is in his 60s, and he lives there with his grandson, Theodore Lawrence, who Joe calls Teddy. And Teddy and Joe are just exactly alike. They just click as soon as they meet. And he also has a tutor called Mr. Brooke, and Mr. Brooke has got a liking for Meg. So it's all about these characters, how they interact with each other as time goes on, their stories, and going forward, how what they decide to do and everything affects their future. It's a really beautifully written book. Now, Louisa May Alcott, she did write other things, lots of other things. She also wrote two sequels to The Little Women. I've only ever read Little Women. I first read it when I was like a teenager. I think the last time I read it, I was about 15. So going back to it now, 15 years later, and rereading it, there was a lot of stuff I'd forgotten. Lots of stuff. By when I say a lot of stuff, I don't mean the main storyline, because I love the story of Little Women. I've watched so many, various adaptations of it and everything. I know it very well. It's just, little things, little adventures that you do, the little picnics and all this lot that they go off on together and everything. So it was really fun for me to re-immerse myself in this world and all these stories and everything that they get up to. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I will admit, it was hard for me going into it when I reread it. Now, I don't know if that's just because, as I said, I've been ill for a couple of days and at the beginning of the week, so I missed a couple of days out of my usual 7 days. So I was like, right, I've got to go now. And maybe it was just my mentality, my head thinking, okay, I've got to do this, da-da-da-da-da. That's why I found it quite difficult to get into, because I was too busy. I was busy thinking, right, I have to reach this target in order to keep on track to finish this book. I don't know, or maybe it was just that thing that it had been so long, I'd forgotten what her writing was like, and I wasn't able to get into it straight away. But even though I found it a bit tough at the start, once I got into my comfort zone with it, I was perfectly fine with it. She does it. There is a lot of stuff in there that is like kind of blocks of information, but you need those blocks of information in order to learn about the family and the way they work. And you go on a lot of picnics and and stuff, and little parties and that, which in the main scope of the story don't make an impact. They're just events that happen, but they're nice things because you see the family working and how they do this, that and the other and everything. So even though you could say it's full of load of scenes that don't need to be there, what is the point, this is boring, I think they need to be there because you need to understand how these characters interact with each other, and then going forward, the decisions that they make, you understand why they made them and everything. So for me, okay, they are those scenes that are a bit too long, or you could generally, maybe now if you gave this work over to an editor, they would take stuff out. But I like to read them. I think they're good. Overall, thoroughly enjoyed going back to the March family. Louisa May Alcott's writing, as I said, has some little issues here and there, but I enjoyed it. I love what the moral of the story is. Little Women is just a classic that I absolutely love. I think it's a wonderful story. I really, really, really wish. I know the last. I'll talk about film versions in a minute. The last version that came out was in like 1994, which wasn't relatively not that long ago, but still, it's like, yeah, I know, but I really would like another version. BBC, could you do a really lovely adaptation of Little Women? I really love that. But yeah, I'd love to see. Any versions of Little Women I love. Now, there is one version of Little Women that I don't get along with though, just because I just find it a bit drab and dull, and that is the Katharine Hepburn version from 1939, I think it is, which you can get anywhere in this country, in the UK. Whenever I go like H&B or whatever, various different shops to do with DVDs, and they've got Little Women DVDs, they always have that version, and I'm like, I don't want that version. I don't it irritates me. I don't know, it's just the way it's acted, whatever. I just don't, it doesn't work with me. Now, the version that I love is a version that you can't get in this country. So I had to get a Korean import in order to get this DVD, to get a copy. I looked hell and high water for it, and then I finally found one on Amazon, and I was order straight away as soon as I saw it. And that is the June Allison version of Little Women, where she played Jo. And Peter Lawford plays Laurie. There they are, Jo and Laurie. And for the other sisters, we've got Margaret O'Brien playing Beth, Elizabeth Taylor playing Amy, and Janet Leigh playing Meg. Now, this was the first film version of Little Women that I came across, and I just fell in love with it. I adore this version. Okay, yes, there's some little things that they tweaked or reordered or slightly and everything, but this is great. And one version that is just as good. It's just wonderful. The score is amazing. The acting is just brilliant. It's the Winona Ryder version from the 1994. Winona Ryder playing Jo. And then we've got Claire Danes playing Beth, the Kirsten Dunst playing young Amy. The older Amy is Samantha Mathers, and yeah, I just wanted to double check the name of the actress who played Meg, because her name just completely fell out of my head. And Trini Alvarado playing Meg, and Susan Sarandon playing their mother. This cast is just fantastic. It's so well done. Again, they've tweaked things or reordered things and such, as any film version do. So this is going to sound really weird. This is the best version of Little Women that there is, but this is my favourite version. This again is the first one that I came across and in my life, and I love it. It's from the age of Hollywood that I adore, and so this has got to be my favourite. Yeah, I love them both equally, but this is the best. This is my favourite. It's the way it is. So yeah, I strongly recommend either one of those. But yeah, the Katharine Hepburn one, I'm sure there's loads and loads of people who really like it, but I can't get along with it. Yeah, it's not for me, but oh well. So that's all I can think of to say at the moment. Overall, really liked rereading Little Women. Brought back a lot of memories of when I was younger reading it, and reading it now as an older person, I found a lot of nostalgia in it. It was wonderful to go back again, and I remember little things when I was reading it when I was younger that I remembered, and I said lots of things that I forgot, but I didn't forget the heart of the story and everything, and it just felt like going back to the marches was like going home again. So for me, even though, as I said, Louisa May Alcott's writing, you could get so irritated with it, but it was like going home, so therefore it must be good for me. I absolutely loved it. So, but anyway, that's all I'm going to go to say. Have you read Little Women? I'd love to hear what you thought. If you want to leave me a comment in the comment box below, please do. Or if you want to share what you thought of the book another way, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Entirely up to you. I'll leave it up to you. And as usual, I'll be back with another video shortly to say what book I'm going to be reading next week. All right then. Bye.